A deep dive into the herb turmeric, and more specifically the compound that's in turmeric known as curcumin. And so we're going to talk about the 4 main benefits of taking curcumin, and then we're also at the end of this video going to talk about 2 major, maybe not even major, but primary side effects to really look out for. So curcumin is one of the many curcuminoids that are found in turmeric, and right now it's really believed to be the most potent curcuminoid that's found in turmeric. And so again, the most of this video is going to be based upon looking at the research on curcumin specifically, and we're really going to look at the 4 primary benefits, which are curcumin's benefits on inflammation and pain, its effects on oxidation, and then we're also going to look at its effects on cognitive health and heart health. So when it comes to curcumin's ability to affect inflammation and pain, there's actually 2 primary studies that showed some fairly significant decreases in some markers of inflammation and even some decreases in the expression of certain pain receptors on certain nerves. And so this study right here showed a very specific reduction in the markers of interleukin-1 beta and interleukin-6, which are 2 of your primary inflammatory cytokines. And so whenever your body ever senses like an injury or there's something going on that needs to be healed, your body releases these interleukins in order to kind of spur on a healing process and to initiate a healing process. But when these markers get out of control, it can actually lead to some degree a level of just complete body inflammation when your body doesn't down-regulate those inflammatory cytokines after an injury. And the researchers actually noted that there was a, quote, significant decrease in these markers in the participants that were in this study that were taking their curcumin supplementation. But not only was there a significant decrease in the biochemical markers of inflammation, there was also a specific clinical reduction in the symptoms of inflammation as well. And so the participants that went through this study were actually able to climb on a treadmill for longer periods of time than their counterparts that were in the control group. And so again, not only does curcumin have the capacity and the ability to lower the markers and biochemical markers of inflammation in the body, they also have the ability to lower the clinical symptoms that come along with those biochemical markers, which is a significant study because a lot of times in studies, you see one or the other. You don't see a study that studies the biochemical markers and the clinical evidence as well. And so because this research group actually looked at both of those things in this research paper, it makes people like me pretty excited because you know that when you look at the findings of that paper, that they are highly reliable in their application to the general public. But not only does curcumin lower the biochemical markers of inflammation and the symptoms that come along with those biochemical markers, it also actually in this study right here had the ability to actually desensitize the pain receptors. And so not only is curcumin actually lowering the cause of pain to some degree, it's actually lowering the capacity of specific neurons within the body to be able to carry pain signals to and from the brain. And to my knowledge, this is the only compound that we know that does this. And so the fact that it's found in a very typical herb that you can find at any grocery store nowadays says a lot to the power of traditional medicine to treat some of the ailments that we have nowadays. Now, the second health benefit of taking curcumin is that it actually increases your body's own endogenous antioxidant system. So if you are familiar with the health community at all, you know there is a ton of talk about antioxidants. However, within recent years, it's actually been shown that taking high dose antioxidants can actually have a negative impact on your health because it actually down regulates your endogenous production of your own antioxidants that you have within your body. And so your two primary antioxidants that your body produces are known as superoxide dismutase and glutathione. And so curcumin in this study actually showed the ability to raise superoxide dismutase and glutathione levels in the body. And to me, that's a pretty big freaking deal, because that means that curcumin is actually working with your body to actually fight oxidation on a cellular level. And so antioxidation is a great thing, but again, taking high doses of antioxidants that come from food products like berries and other fruits and vegetables can again lower your own body's capacity to produce the antioxidants that it needs to in order to fight that oxidation without the help of food products. And this study right here actually showed an increase in superoxide dismutase as well, but it also showed a decrease in DNA damage. And so again, not only is curcumin affecting biochemical markers within the body, but it's also specifically in a clinical setting reducing the effects of that oxidation in the body. And so not only is it increasing antioxidant capacity, but we're also seeing that there's a decrease in the damage to the cellular DNA, which is a huge deal because a lot of the biochemical research right now, there is a lot of hypotheses coming out that DNA damage and the damage to the chromosomes and the telomeres specifically is what leads to the process of aging. And so curcumin being able to actually protect DNA has a major implication on its ability to actually fight the aging process as well. Now, curcumin's third health benefit is its benefits for cognitive health. Now, there are a handful of studies that are showing and demonstrating and suggesting curcumin's effectiveness in treating anxiety and depression. But in this study in particular, the researchers noted that there was a significant increase in the symptoms of depression. And in this study right here, there was actually an improvement in the symptoms of Alzheimer's. And so it seems to be that there is a large variety of health parameters that curcumin is able to affect, specifically within the confounds of cognitive health, ranging anywhere from anxiety and depression all the way to helping to treat Alzheimer's. And again, in that second study that was mentioned, there was also an increase in learning and 140% increase in brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And so if you guys have seen my previous video on ashwagandha, you know that I'm a huge fan of methods to increase that neurotrophic factor because of its implications on helping the body to adapt and grow, and helping the mind and neurons within the brain and central nervous system specifically to continue to grow and adapt and aid in learning. Now, curcumin's fourth health benefit is its benefit to heart health. Now, this study right here actually demonstrated curcumin's ability to lower both triglyceride levels and cholesterol. And this study right here actually found very similar results and found that curcumin lowered plasma triglyceride values, salivary amylase levels, raised salivary radical scavenging capacity, raised plasma catalase activity, it lowered beta amyloid protein concentrations, lowered plasma cycam readings, increased levels of plasma myeloperoxidase, increased C-reactive protein levels, and increased plasma nitric oxide levels. Now, a lot of those markers are markers of heart health. Not all of them, but a lot of them are markers of heart health, which shows and demonstrates curcumin's capacity and ability to affect a very, very broad spectrum of biochemical markers when it comes to bettering heart health. Now, when it comes to the side effects of curcumin, there's really only two primary side effects that you really have to look out for. And they're really not that big in the grand scheme of things. But for those of you that have your health under a microscope, these will be key in understanding how to specifically apply curcumin intake to your own personal life. Now, the first side effect of curcumin that I wouldn't even necessarily call a side effect, but it is something to keep in mind, and that is that it actually inhibits mTOR, which is a metabolic pathway in your body that actually causes muscle growth. Now, by suppressing mTOR, there's actually a theory out there right now that you can actually increase lifespan, which is why when I say that it's a side effect, I say that with a grain of salt, because it is a side effect if your primary motivation and goal right now is to pack on as much muscle mass as possible. Curcumin might inhibit that to some degree, not to a large degree from what we understand, but it might to some degree, so it is worth noting. But curcumin also has the ability in some studies to actually inhibit catabolism. So for instance, if you're on like a cutting phase or you're trying to lose weight, curcumin might be a great option for you in order to kind of hold on to some of your muscle mass while you're in a weight loss program. Now, the second side effect is that curcumin has been shown to decrease the expression of 17-beta HSD3. Now, that is actually an enzyme that actually helps convert precursors into testosterone. And so if you are someone who's trying to maximize testosterone, curcumin might also be something to keep an eye on if you're taking it, just because it does have some capacity to decrease the level of expression of that specific enzyme that has been shown in some rat studies to decrease testosterone production. We don't really know the specific dose that would cause that in a human model. It does seem to be extremely high, so this may not be relevant. And so again, when it comes to the side effects of curcumin, those are really the only ones you really have to look out for, and they're not major. But again, for some of you that are out there that are trying to maximize muscle gain and pack on as much muscle as possible, you might want to slightly minimize your curcumin use just in case.